Hey y'all, welcome back to Voices of the Body, the podcast. My name is Love Ashley Elaine, and I am your guide as we journey through this thing called life, journey through this here body of ours, right? All the ups, the downs, the lefts, the rights, the front, the back, all the things. This episode, we are tapping into a really needed conversation on spiritual maintenance and alignment, right? Yeah. You'll take your car to get a tune-up. Might as well tune up your spirit while you at it, right? So you know the vibes. Just find that sweet space. Settle your mind, body, and soul as we tap into this episode. And we are back. So find that nice, comfortable seated position. All right. Maybe you choose to lay down. If you're driving, just be safe. You can come back to this later. Option here, if you feel safe in your body, is to bring your gaze down your nose or to completely close your eyes. And take a nice big inhale, filling up the whole entire body with all the air that you can take in. And as you exhale nice and gently, we don't want to rush the breath, right? We want the breath to know that we acknowledge it, that we see it, we feel it, and we're grateful for it. Allowing the body to really sink into your seat. And if you're laying down, sink into the space that you're laying in. Really giving permission to the body to release. Take another nice big inhale. Continuing to take in as much air as you can, filling up the whole entire body, right? Envisioning that air filling the legs, the body, the upper body, all the way up to the crown of your head. And gently exhaling one more time. Nice and soft, keeping it light, keeping it gentle, not rushing the breath, not rushing the body. Allowing the body to really become heavy as it sinks into the seat, sinks into the ground, right? That heaviness of release, right? Trusting that you are supported, trusting that you are protected. Trusting that in this space, you're allowed to be free. And really draw your attention to the middle of your body, which is called the solar plexus. Right? Finding that middle portion of your body, the home where your soul lives. Right? And really taking some time to process or take note, take inventory, right, of what is living in that space. Is it fear? Is it heaviness that you're holding on to, that you just want permission to be able to let go, right? Is it secrets, family secrets, right? Is it doubt?
Soundstripe.
And really envisioning what you could do if you allowed that space to remain open,
Soundstripe.
to remain a clear channel for communication of what your creator wants to do next with you.
Soundstripe.
For you, through you, with you, to you, all of it. Maybe even bringing your hands to that middle area of your body, right? Some might think it's where our belly button is, but you determine where the middle portion of your body is. Really nurturing that space.
Soundstripe.
Giving permission for whatever is being held on in your spiritual space, right? That space where our power is, that space where our communication is, right? Our spiritual communication, that discernment, that direction, that drive, right? What pulls you forward, what calls you.
Soundstripe.
What does that look like? What does that feel like for you?
Soundstripe.
And if you would like, you can bring this to a pause and really just stay in space to investigate deeper. Maybe do some journaling, whatever feels authentic for you in this space. Take another big inhale.
Soundstripe.
For when you're ready to really come back into your space after you've investigated and really allowed for
Soundstripe.
inventory of what's being held on to, what's clouding that space, what's clouding your freedom. And exhale. Last one, nice big inhale. And gently exhale.
Soundstripe.
And there's no rush. Again, you can pause here if you would like to take your time coming back into your space and really allowing yourself to investigate a little bit, right? Yeah, we'll be right back.
Soundstripe. Soundstripe. Soundstripe.
And welcome back to Voices of the Body. So y'all know I'm like 5-year-old. I go to the playground, I meet other kids, and I bring them home with me and like, mommy, look who I met. I have my friend Intuitive Keys. I call it Killer Keys. Rakia. Rakia Chantel, known as Intuitive Keys, is a spiritual life doula, a Reiki energy healer, specializing in psychic mediumship and full spectrum birth work. Y'all, it's all of what it sounds like. Keys is passionate about creating safe and healing spaces for souls to manage and process major life transitions through spiritual maintenance and alchemizing rebirth of self. Ladies and gentlemen, give it up for Intuitive Keys. What's happening, my sis?
Hello, people. Hello, audience. I'm so excited to be here, and thank you for having me. And for those who don't know, they call me Keys. I'm spiritually inclined and intuitive. Pulling cards is what I do, and I'm here to flow. I am here to flow. Just hoping to set the intention today that every listener, everybody who stops by and listens to us, that they walk away with something, whether it's an intention set or a seed planted, some awareness, a spiritual tool, something that they can walk away with.
Yeah.
Each one, each one. We ain't gonna make it out of here alone.
Look, y'all, she's starting already.
I can't help it. I can't help it. I'm fired up.
She's starting already. Yes. But you know what though? Like I say that all the time. Each one teach one, because it's like when you know better, you teach better, right?
Yes.
You're able to teach someone else the ropes. I literally just wrote something very similar to this in a newsletter for my business. Like sometimes God calls somebody to be the first to go, to then bring other people with them and show other people that yes, this is possible. Yes, you can do this too. And I've prepared this person to be able to help you do that. So kudos on pulling people out.
That's what we do, and it's such an alignment. I'm a firm believer that God uses God's spirit source, whatever people deem their higher power. That there are guides and even earth angels that are walking this path with us. So, however, I can be of service to somebody else with teaching them something, guiding them through something, and also those who come to guide and mentor and show me something. Because we're all students of life.
Absolutely. So how did you, because your bio, right? And this is not to draw emphasis on the bio itself, because then when you think about when people think about resumes, it's like, oh, I have this title. But your titles are very to the T, right? Like if somebody had to learn clarity on what they are meant to do, it look at Key's bio, right? What was that journey like to even come into understanding that, okay, these are my giftings, right? Because that's basically what it is. How did you, what's your journey coming into those spaces?
We have to take a deep breath.
Everybody breathe.
Everybody just take a breath. Because coming into my spiritual gifts, some people automatically know. I was born clairsentient is actually the first gift that I received, and clairsentience is the ability to physically feel the feeling of other people. Some people say it's like being like a super empath. So not only can I sense what other people are going through, but I can literally feel it in my body what somebody else may be experiencing or difficult emotions. And I've been this way since I was a child. But actually putting a name to it, that didn't happen to my mid-20s. And I actually met a friend who just happened to be a psychic medium. And she's like, oh yeah, you're psychic. And I was like, because where they say Black people is psychic at? I've never heard of that. Never saw Black psychics other than Miss Cleo. Didn't know anything about being clairsentient. But what she did was she planted a seed, and I started doing research. And the more that I read books, the more that I read certain articles, and I started to identify with what those things were saying, it forced me through my own transition of unprocessing and allowing myself to just be it's okay that you experience these things, but this is what it's called. Yeah. And once I knew that, the door kind of just opened up, from there.
Whew, Miss Cleo. I remember Miss Cleo. That's and for now that you mentioned her, right? Every time she came on, I was so engrossed. I'm just ooh.
Call me now. Yes.
Oh yeah, free reading. Sometimes I'm I wonder if I call her, if my mom would know that I called her.
She absolutely would. Once you get the bill.
Yeah. Funny. But it ooh, you just sparked something for me. Because even thinking about but really, right? Because we're around the same age. So it's when we saw that growing up, it's
yeah.
Oh, she's interesting, right? She's doing something that this is cool, but I'm so engrossed. Why am I so engrossed in trying to understand what she's doing and paying so much attention to what she's doing? It now makes sense. It now
makes see how sense. Everything always comes full circle.
Always. Oh, wow.
It
Wow.
always it always comes full circle. I was so interested, even just seeing like her infomercials and things like that. But when it came to like my psychic mediumship and being able to develop those gifts, I think I randomly walked into like a bookstore in Manhattan, like 14th Street, called oh damn, what's it called? I forgot. I'll get the name for you guys. But I walked into this random bookstore, had no clue why I walked in there, and I ended up walking out with two decks and a book on psychic mediumship. Didn't know why. And I feel like it's the calling that you feel within yourself. For anybody who's listening who may be wondering if they are an empath, or those who may be highly sensitive or can energy readers or can feel things from other people or places, animals, because there's all different type of spiritual gifts, to follow the calling. And for me buying those decks, it led to me, I think a year or two later, actually doing readings for other people. Didn't see myself doing these things, but something that I felt called to do, you
Yeah.
know? So it's been a journey. It's been a journey coming in more into myself. And one of the most prominent things that I would say sparked my spiritual gifts was trauma.
Oof, oof.
Trauma. We're gonna go there, we gotta go. It was trauma,
Mm-hmm.
to force myself to listen to my intuition. So a multitude of things will lead you back to the same place, and about the coming back to yourself, who you are at your core. And I do believe that some things in life, some situations or circumstances, they happen to us just to bring us more to ourselves. As
Mm.
I sometimes refer to it as bringing us back home
Yeah.
within ourselves, home within our body.
Yeah, I've been, the more healing work I do, right? It's like, oh, I'm actually coming back into my home, and my home is my divine self, who God actually created me to be. And
Hmm.
the more I start stripping all of the trauma, right? The seeds that were planted, and really cleansing and doing that soul work and that heart work and that shadow work, that inner child work, right?
Hmm.
It never ends, but there's like, just like there's levels to life, there's levels to healing, right? i got
Absolutely.
I got chills just throwing it out
Yes.
there as we're talking, because I think that, like, and I'm so grateful that you said yes to coming on, because I feel like I've been feeling the shift
Yeah.
energetically, right? That's been happening. But I think, I believe, and I feel, right, that this conversation is like, it's that new beginning that a lot of people need, right?
Yeah.
Because a lot of us, like, don't have the space to be able to quit our jobs and go take 3 mental health leaves and do all, right? So it's like, okay, how do I put language to what it is that I'm feeling, but also,
Hmm.
like, still walk this human life as well? Like, how do I maneuver both of these things, right? Um,
Yeah.
and then you have people, like, we've had conversations, I'm ready to get into it, coming from coming from the
Let's do
church.
it. Yeah.
We are so bad. It's like, yes, finally, right? But it's like coming
Yes.
from that heavy church background, right? Like I said to you before, my grandmother tells me all the time when we talk about things, is that she was born with a veil over her face, so she's got gifting, right? But it's like that
Mm.
that deep Southern Baptist, like,
Mhm.
religion is in there, right? I have great aunts and uncles that are preachers, and it's like, when you get around them, still, you still gotta, like, cover up and make sure your skirt is
Mhm.
down to your calves. And
Down to your down, huh? Oh, come below your knees.
yeah, like, at this point, like, it's either you gonna leave the house or not. Like, so
Right.
t- tell me what it was like, for you, like, so your religious background, like that family dynamic and what that looked like, and then what were the struggles that you had with really stepping into this gifting and what that looked like.
Okay, so my family, I was born into a Judaic faith. My family are Hebrew Israelites. So they follow a lot of Jewish traditions, celebrations, Passover, Hanukkah, Sukkot, Yom Kippur. Um, and my grandmother is my grandmother, my mom, my uncles who are deacons in the church. My mom is a sister elder. My grandmother's a Sabbath school teacher. So beginning of the Sabbath, which is Friday night, Sabbath day. Sometimes we will be in church all day. And I think I got to a point, because I was the granddaughter of the Sabbath school teacher. It's just certain things that my grandmother would have me doing that I didn't want to do,
Mm-hmm.
like participating or being in the choir or doing certain things like church functions and things like that. Um, and I think as I started to grow wiser and older and become more into my spirituality, I started to question the church, and I started to question the people that sit on the pulpit and question the people who are considered the saints and what they do in their waking life versus what they do when they are inside the church walls. And I started to see how they didn't align.
Mm-hmm.
So, a young girl, you start asking questions. I was always taught, no, you stay in the child's place, or, you don't ask questions about that. And I was the type of child to continue asking why. I
Yeah.
always wanted to know why, trying to get down to the bottom of it. And it was actually some things that happened to me within the church, and it was the spark that led me to deepening my spirituality, because I stopped going to church for a while.
Mm-hmm.
So I want anybody who's listening to this, even if you grew up in the church, I will say this, that the church background that I had was a foundation for my spirituality.
Yeah.
It helped to help expand my spirituality. I started making some connections from the church into the practice that I have now. And I feel like a lot of people, even now, are coming into this space where they're starting to leave the church, or their beliefs and their values, their morals, and certain traditions, they're starting to expand in a way that our ancestors or some elders have not advanced to as yet. And that is okay.
Yeah.
I want people to know that it is okay if you feel your beliefs changing, or if you feel yourself drifting away from organized religion to allow yourself more freedom to explore other paths or other areas or just any other healing modalities. It's okay.
Mm-hmm.
Because being so embedded in the church, it'll start making you feel as if, one, that you are an outsider, or that God is going to condemn you, because you have questions, or because you don't necessarily agree with certain traditions or followings of the church.
Yeah.
Not true.
Yeah. Yeah. And then it also it then turns into a place where, and it's funny because like the church I go to, I found on my own. Like when I left my grandmother's church, she was just like, "How dare you?" And I was like, "Cause it's not for me, sis." Like it's
Can't do
not.
this no more.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's not for me. And like my pastor is always talking about this, right? That our spiritual gifting is not meant for the church.
Mm-hmm.
So what I always see is people start to get disappointed, and then that's like another level of that church hurt, right? It's like
Mm-hmm.
you like just because you discovered your gifting in the church doesn't mean that now you gotta like yes serving, and it's just like any community organization that you go volunteer at and you give back to, like all those things,
Right.
both and those spiritual giftings, right? That calling, like that anointing, all those things are not meant for the church. So then it's like when
Absolutely.
people can't do stuff in the church, they get disappointed and now they just want to leave altogether. And it's just like, well, no, like, don't you have a life outside of these four walls?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. You touching on something. I know some people right now where all they know is the church, and it's like, no, you are free to explore. God, and we spoke about this earlier with that the questioning. The questioning phase. Or I call it the seeker.
Mm-hmm.
With God wanting you, God's spirit source. Whatever you deem your higher power, they want you to seek more.
Yeah.
But I feel like sometimes we are conditioned, and so deeply embedded in the views of those who come before us that sometimes it's difficult, and it can be a great inner battle and inner struggle to combat that, and then to say, you know what, this doesn't resonate with me anymore, and I'm going to see where God takes me outside of this. Doesn't
Yeah.
mean that you can't come back. Doesn't mean that you won't find, another spiritual place, or even if you just build like your spirituality within yourself. They said that where two or more are gathered, God will meet you there. Whether it's you outside with the animals or just sitting alone, those in those still moments is where God will find you.
That's scripture, y'all.
It is.
Sometimes
I go through this battle. Not to say it's a battle anymore, because where I'm at in my spiritual practice now, a lot of people believe because of some of the esoteric aspects of me that I don't believe in God. That is not true. God is the source and my foundation. I may not look at God as a patriarchal form where like, oh, God is a man. To me, some days God is a woman, just like Mother Nature,
yeah.
by the comfort or the things that are taken away, or the lessons that I have to learn. But it's in everything that I do. Source and spirit are in everything that I do, and that is still my foundation. Just because I'm not in a church house doesn't mean that my anointing is still not with me. I was anointed there, I'm still anointed now, and even closer to God now than I was when I was going to church.
You just messed up some people's whole like church theology about like, wait a minute, like wait a minute.
It's okay.
Yeah, but that's I resonate with that because like I mean, and again, right, the church that I go to, sis, when I tell you it's the most like unorthodox church on the planet, but like when my pastor teaches, right, I'm not gonna say he preaches, I'm gonna say he teaches, right?
Okay.
He's coming to us holistically, right?
Okay.
It's like whatever it is God has called you to do, that's between you and God. I'm here to do what I was told to do, which is to make sure your mental health, your spiritual health, your physical health, your emotional health, you know what I'm saying, like is intact so that you can go do what you need to do. I've never, like, this is the first time I've ever been in a church where there was no judgment, no questioning of, oh, well, why do you do yoga? Well, why do you do this? Well, I seen you post and talk about this. Well, I seen you post and talk about that. You know what I'm saying? Like, the most comfortable I've been to explore, okay, what else does my spirit need to be fed, right? To be led, to really come into wholeness with myself, right? Really come into alignment with myself, literally mind, body, and spirit, right? And allow everything to manifest together so that what it is that God has placed in my heart to do, I can do it to the fullness, right?
Right.
So even like when people are talking about like Palo Santo and sage, I'm just like, listen, Palo Santo is saving my life. I have not had to I have not had to like listen. I was just
I just list some people we got on here. I know.
like I posted something about it this morning because the episode, well, by the time this episode comes out, the one prior to it is Clean Space, Healing Space. And it's really talking about like that energetic healing, right?
Yeah.
I talk about how Palo Santo, like I've been in a depressed state for the last 2 years to the point where it was like I would ask God, like, why am I even here? Like, why, like, so dark, right? Realizing that my last partner, he has PTSD with Palo Santo because it was used negatively in his house growing up. So it was like, no, we can't have that in the house. And it was just sage. It was just sage. It was just sage. And I'm just like, okay. After a while, it was just like, well, sage is just like it's cleaning everything out at this point.
Yeah.
Like sunlight, it's not doing anything. Like it's cleaning everything out. Once I got back into a space of like doing for myself, right? Getting Palo Santo, I started to notice, okay, this like there's something shifting, right? Small little shifts. I think within the last like 3 weeks, I've been doing like plant medicine and like the cacao, a lot of Palo Santo, and just keeping consistency with the things that I use, right? Essential oils, all of that. And I'm just like, oh, wait a minute. I'm like more in tune, right, with my emotions. I'm investigating a little bit deeper, right? And I actually Googled Palo Santo helps with depression.
Mm,
So I think people forget that it's everything with intention,
yes.
right? And so what has that been like with like when people like especially family, we'll start with family because family is the gateway to all of it, right? What was it like to really like did you struggle with really trying to like quote unquote prove that your intention was pure, or did you ever feel like you had to like over prove that okay, these giftings, this work that I know I'm called to do is for good reason? And then like how did that what did that do for you? Like how was that experience?
It was a struggle. It was a struggle because of the type of faith that my family has. So, even me being led to pull like tarot cards, which are a spiritual tool, that literally helps through life cycles.
Yeah.
I had my cards one day. I was in the kitchen and one of my uncles was like, "Oh, she got them demon cards," like because it's so taboo to our culture to be doing tarot or any type of card that's outside of what they consider to be prayer or a way that you get in touch, with God or you speak to God. And I was really taken aback. And it's like one, because it's like, bro, you know me. Look at the cards and you can see there's nothing demonic about it.
Yeah.
And they would always say no, like I don't open those doors. And the type of person that I am, I I can be challenging sometimes. It's like we don't open those doors. What doors are you talking about? And that means that means that you know exactly what it is, and you know that there's something more on the other side. You're just not acknowledging it. But I'm the person that's going
Mm.
to acknowledge what this is. So it actually opened up the dialogue for me with my family, with the practice that I was entering into. I wasn't as deep in at the time, but I just really wanted to hear their perspective. That way I can challenge that because they know my character.
Yeah.
So to see me using like oracle cards or tarot, or I came in the house one day, I had a whole bunch of crystals, and I had my sage and my Palo Santo, and after I would sage my room, and they be like, "Well, what does that smell?" Be gone, demon. It took them a while to accept where I was at, but the calling in me was so strong that I couldn't avoid it and I wouldn't hide it.
Yeah.
So the more that I started to get into my readings, the more that I started to understand that, I'm able to see not only things from the past, but things that are to be and to happen. And that this is an anointing. Years later, a lot of the women in my family started to come to me and they were saying thank you. Or I've had these experiences, or I would feel these type of things. I always thought that something was wrong with me, so I never talked about it with anybody. I never brought it up, and they would sit with that, and it made me so sad for them. But you know
Mm.
how when we first got on this call, it takes one person to lead or to be the leader. With that, though, the initiators, the door openers. So me
Mhm.
accepting my calling and where my faith was going at the time, me accepting who I was and what I was becoming, was a door opener for a lot of people in my family to express themselves in the spiritual experiences that they have been having all their life. And at the
Mm.
same time, it kind of made me upset and resentful. It's
Yeah.
like I am on thinking that the sensitivity that I have is a weakness, or I hate feeling so much all the time, or feeling people not knowing how to identify what my gifts. We're going through the same thing.
Yeah.
Nobody shares their stories. So me
Mm.
sharing more of myself became a door opener for my family. Now that I guess they see that other people have come to me, or people go back to them saying like, yo, like she's special. She has a special gift. She's anointed. And they hear it from other people. I think now they're starting to accept it more. And I've made my peace with it.
Yeah.
I'm not here to prove to them or anybody else what God and my angels and my spirit team are calling me to do. What I have to do is be obedient to what I'm feeling and what I'm hearing and follow that, because
Mm.
we try to prove like, oh no, I'm this and I'm that, and that goes deep into childhood too, with wanting to prove yourself, or wanting your family to acknowledge acknowledge you for who and what you are. it
Mhm.
it can it is a struggle for a lot of people. It was a struggle for me. It can get hurtful. Coming into your gifts, it can get very lonely. You will, because once the door is open, you won't resonate with everybody the same.
Yeah.
Old friends, family members, certain things you won't be able to do. Your physical makeup starts to change. Things you eat, things you watch, things you see, everything about you starts to shift.
Mhm.
And then some people looking at you like, well, that's you, or you're acting funny, or that's not you. And it's like, no, it is me, but I just don't resonate with you the same. I've
Yeah.
lost friendships, people that I've been close to my entire life. I had somebody really close to me when I started coming into my gifts. The first time I ever posted cards, like posted one of my readings online, and somebody I was very close to at the time told me, "Oh, you shouldn't do that."
Mm.
I sat with it for a while,
Mhm.
and for a couple of days, I didn't post, and I kept feeling the urge, like, just do it, just do it, just do it. And I kept doing it, and it's led me today. I've read for over 200 people. I've helped people in so many ways cross over, or at least given them some confirmation or awareness or something that they were seeking. I was able to provide answers for from a divine gift that God gave me to be able to see whether it's into the past or into the future, or how they can shift. So when it
Woo.
comes to like advising people on family and friends, everybody won't resonate, and that's okay. If
Yeah.
you feel like you're growing and the lonely aspect of it, or not resonating with those people, feeling like you are in this by yourself, sometimes God wants to get you by yourself, that way you can hear, you can see, you can feel clearly, so that you can be a clear channel.
Yeah. Oof.
Isolation is needed.
Yeah.
Isolation is needed for growth.
Oof. Oof. Ugh.
It is.
Those chills again, girl. You tap it into my. But it's so true, right? And people are scared of isolation. People are truly scared of being isolated. Like people are afraid to be by themselves. People are really afraid to be by
They
themselves.
are.
Yeah, and I think that's more dangerous, right? Like I think it's more
Mm-hmm.
dangerous and unhealthy for you to be afraid to be by yourself than it is for you to be okay with just being around any and everybody all the time,
Mm-hmm.
right? Um I,
Absolutely.
yeah, I resonate with the like losing friends, and like when like cuz once you say yes to being obedient, right? Whew. I was listening to listen, I listen to a lot of different pastors, but I don't listen to all
Mm-hmm.
pastors. They're not all created equal, right?
True.
This pastor was talking about how he got promptings that it was time for him to leave his church, right? He ended up like saying yes to whatever to that prompting, right? But didn't know how that was going to look. He ended up starting a podcast just out of nowhere. He went on somebody like a friend of his son's podcast. And from there, like it just kind of like sparked his interest. And now, since he's left his church, his podcast has just like skyrocketed, right?
Mm.
But he talks about, and he said it like a recent episode that he posted. He said it. He said his obedience was greater than his happiness.
Mm. That's
And
deep.
yeah, and when you talk about being obedient to those promptings, I just got chills again. This is like I'm loving all of this because like spirituality is something that I love to like talk about and read about and learn about, right? Even like learning about all the different sacred texts that are available to understand that we're all saying the same thing just in different language for
Mm-hmm.
people to be able to understand it, right? But like when you talk about being obedient to spirit, that 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 takes a lot of like courage. I'm not even gonna
Yeah.
lie.
Yes, it does.
It takes a lot of courage because like I'll never forget I had a dream one night, and I could tell that it was a message that God had told me to give to somebody. I was like, nope, I ain't doing it. I got in the shower. God knows, we're like this girl. I got in the shower and it wouldn't stop bothering me. I was like, why? Why? Because you already know what's going to happen. Why? And all I heard was that's for me to take care of,
Mm-hmm.
not for you to worry about. Just like, okay. So I texted real quick and threw my phone across the room, right? I texted so quick and threw my phone across the room. Like every 5 minutes, I'm like checking my phone. Apparently, I texted to an old phone number, right? But it was like an old work number. That person's partner worked at that old job still, and another coworker had the number, was able to give it to who I had to give the message to's partner. Partner gave it to her. Yeah.
Chain effect. Mm-hmm.
Right. And we ain't been right since.
And that's okay.
And I'm okay with that. Like I had to grow in being okay with that, right? And
yeah,
like as much as my grandmother is still so like very much in that old, routine of the church, right? I was able to still have that conversation with her, and she was just like, well, you did what you were supposed to do, right? But to have that conversation with somebody else would be like, well, maybe she misunderstood you. Well, maybe you need to have a conversation. I was like, no. Mm-mm. There's nothing else to talk about. Like, because she texted me back and she went off. And the whole time I knew it was God, because the whole time she's going off, I'm just like, okay, all right.
Peace.
That's
Peace,
fine.
be still.
Right. So what did that journey to peace look like for you? To get to a space.
All my life I had to fight, y'all. All my life I had to fight. And I have to be real about it, because people think like, you wake up and you're going to choose peace. Sometimes peace comes through chaos.
Yeesh.
I had to find, my peace came through chaos. And God had to take me through, God had to take me through some things, especially when it comes to other people. So I'm a recovering people pleaser. And what that looks like, of always doing what others expect me to do, I was never a confrontational person. I hated confrontations. I was always the bigger person. And I can remember one day where I think I had gotten into it with one of my friends, and it was like they had like shunned me out, and I cried. Like, why do I always asking God, like, why do I always have to be the bigger person? Why do I always have to be the person to reach out or to rekindle something or fix something that I didn't break? And it was at that moment where God was like, nah, it's really like, not that I was choosing chaos, but I was no longer going to be that person. And that is what shifted my whole reality. Once I made a decision to actually stop being that person and to stand up for myself and to hold people accountable for what they do. People run from accountability. And if I'm doing the work on me, I expect everybody around me to do the work on them.
Yeah.
So my way to peace was in some situations through chaos. One of the catalysts that led me into even trusting my intuition was a traumatic relationship.
Ooh,
where I had to trust myself. I had to trust myself. My intuition literally would wake me up in the middle of the night. Go look at this. Go look at that. And it would be things that would break my heart. But it showed me the truth. I kept asking for it. And God was like, I'm going to give you exactly what you're asking for. But when you ask for clarity and insight, you have to be prepared to accept what you are being shown. And then you have to walk the walk, because when you get that clarity and that insight, it's going to come with advice and some directions on what needs to happen next.
Yeah.
And when something is no longer for you, your spirit team, God, angel, your source, it will make it to be unbearable and force you to move. So to get to my peace, my feet literally had to be forced to move. And in some situations, I had to break my own heart to be able to reach a level of calmness.
Yeah.
And it took tears to get there. It took a lot of shedding. Like literally, I think once I started to leave certain relationships, I physically lost weight. My physical appearance started to shift and it started to change. It's like dead weight and dead weight and all this that's like emotional debris that I was carrying, it started to shed.
Yeah.
So peace sometimes looks like going through darkness. They call it the dark night of the soul. Going through a chaotic point or darkness or destruction. But in order for you to be rebuilt, for your foundation within yourself to be stronger, things have to break down.
Mm.
So I became comfortable with being uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And that's my journey of peace. And peace is something that to this day that I still strive for in my relationships, with the type of work that I do within my craft. Because if it's taking my peace away, it's too expensive, and I don't need that. I need peace of mind to be able to function, to be able to help other people in a way that is of service to them.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I'm a firm believer that the more I heal myself, I heal those who will for me, and I heal those who will follow me.
Yeah.
So
Mm-hmm.
I'm leading by example. I am the example. The things that I do are trial and error. But to get to peace, you have to want it. If you pray for peace, be prepared for some things to start breaking down around you. That's all God is doing, is acknowledging what you asked for and then showing you this is where your peace is being taken away. Your peace of mind, it's not there. I need you to move, or I need you to do this, or I need you to do that. But we have to accept when things crumble. And I think it goes back to people with that not wanting to be alone. We hold on so tightly to our attachments.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Building your spirituality is about freedom.
Mm-hmm.
And understanding that some things are here to teach you a specific lesson. Some things are here to help you evolve. Some things are here just for a season to help reflect something back to you, for you to change or to do better, or however you can better help yourself.
Yeah.
Your self-development.
Yeah.
So when you say you want peace, be prepared. Because
Be
it's not like it's gonna happen
prepared.
overnight.
Yeah.
It's not gonna happen overnight.
Yeah. And I'm glad you emphasized on like going into that darkness, right? Because even, and I think that that's what make us healers, right? That much more able to transmute and be able to alchemize, our pain and really understand the collective on a bigger level, and really be like empathetic, right? Because we're willing to go deep within. We're willing to like really go in there. I love that you mentioned Dark Night of the Soul, because I've been reading that book. So they know. They know. Yeah, they know.
Yes.
Y'all know.
Nice.
I've been
But you
teaching
see
y'all.
how God works?
Right.
It
That
all
just
comes
means
full circle.
yeah, it like literally it's they know I've been teaching them, right? You got to go. Like sometimes people who are always like I feel I want to know what I'm supposed to be doing. I want to find my purpose. Are you also ready to like let some stuff go? What are you willing
When
to
you ask for more.
Yeah, when you ask for more, it's going to come with a lot, a whole shedding
A lot of
system.
goodbyes.
Yeah.
Absolutely. It's a purge.
Yeah, I always say when the iPhone is ready for the next upgrade, right? What happens to the previous system?
Start malfunctioning.
Like Apple ain't new to this. Like they know what they're
Absolutely.
Yeah, like when that 14 comes out, what is your 2 doing?
Absolutely.
You got to be able to get ready to say no to a lot. Like a friend of mine, she's so funny. I was literally texting her before this, and she was like, "Girl, I need you to pray. And like the next time you pray, talk to God and ask him if it's time for me to leave my job." I said, "Girl, you better be careful what you ask for. It's gonna come with some stuff." I'm like, "Have you not been watching my journey?"
Be careful what you ask for. You have to be prepared. You really do. And tell your friend, if she listens to this episode, girl, come talk to me. I literally because we spoke about this. When I say I asked God, I was not to say I was unhappy at my job, but I have a background, I have a degree in social work.
Mm-hmm.
So I've always been in the helping profession. And I worked with from newborns and birth work all the way up to adults and the terminally ill,
Mm.
with through case management. And this was like right before we were in the thick of COVID, and I just knew it was something more that I was supposed to be doing, something
Mm-hmm.
more. The stories that I was hearing every day, for me, it was becoming too energetically heavy. And God was like, a transition is coming. I literally prayed. I said, God, okay, I was making good money. I was very comfortable. I said, okay, God, I don't really want to do this anymore. It's becoming a lot for me. And I want to be able to do what I like to do full time. I said, but I'm here. I said, God, you're going to have to come and move my feet, literally. I need your help in doing this.
Yeah.
I wasn't too specific with how I wanted that to happen. I think I was praying this maybe 2020 and 2020 going into 2021. And October of 2021, I was terminated. I was fired for not taking the vaccine. I was not. It's God gave me what I asked for. It just didn't happen the way that I wanted it to happen. I said, give me the courage that I could walk away myself. I'll be able to put my 2 weeks in. It's my choice, and I'd be able to move on. God said no. You said you wanted to leave your job. Okay, cool. I heard you, sis. And they fired me. Complete life change. But that being uncomfortable, getting comfortable with being uncomfortable, it completely reshaped my whole reality. A blessing in disguise, because then it threw me into my work full time.
Yeah.
It also challenged the way that I believed in myself.
Yeah.
So sis, she want a new job. If she's feeling it, we say, if God want me to quit my job, you already know the answer.
I told her the answer a long time ago.
You already know the answer, because you feel unsettled, because you know that there's something more for you.
Absolutely.
You know that there's more out there.
Yeah. And she, like, literally, me and her, that's how we met. Like, same field. We're all in social work. So we're all in that helping field already. And like, yeah, she's going to be an amazing therapist once she leaves where she's at. But yeah, so you said something and it triggered something for me, a good trigger. Words that we say, right? That correlation of words and spirit, right? How, like, with that, with you leaving your job, like asking to leave your job, what did that teach you about, like, how to, like, what articulation and manifestation look like?
It actually told me that they run hand in hand, and it also taught me to be specific, especially when it comes to manifestation, you have to be very specific. And I mean, like, down to detail for detail with the things that you're trying to bring into your reality. Because I was very vague with, like, God, I want to leave my job. And God was like, okay, that was my first time being fired. So it triggered some things in me of rejection and being abandoned. And I was a great worker. How could you let me go? And then I thought about it one day, and it's like, but you asked for these things. It's like, but I didn't ask to feel this. So I manifested what I thought I wanted, but I didn't ask to feel this. The same way when people ask, if certain people aren't for me, God showed me. And then God is like, okay. And then unfavorable situations start to happen, or things just miscommunications, arguments, conflicts, a multitude of things start to rise up to the surface because you asked for it.
Yeah.
So when you speak, and now people don't understand the power of the tongue. It goes back to that Bible.
The scripture, y'all.
The power of the tongue. Your tongue is a sword. Be careful, because you literally speak things into reality. So they're good things or bad things. So I've gotten into a habit of being more intentional with my speech and what comes out of my mouth, and making sure that I am speaking wealth, prosperity, great health, and abundance over my life. Yeah. Once we put it out there, our spirit team picks it up. Yeah. Whether it's negative or positive. Yeah. So when it comes to, like, manifestation, a lot of people fail to realize that you can manifest all you want, but you have to carry that intention and that energy within your body. It's like saying, I want a new car, but and you say, okay, I'm manifesting a new car. I want a new car, however that car looks to you, and then you feel like you're not capable of even obtaining what you're asking for. It's like you're
Mhm.
counteracting your manifestation.
Yeah. Yeah.
Words are powerful.
Mm. It's
Literally, it's like writing them in stone.
yeah, it's literally going back to scripture. It's literally faith without works is dead, right? Because it's like
Mm-hmm.
just because you say it doesn't mean it's just gonna happen, right? You have to, and I did an episode,
Absolutely.
yeah, I did an episode on this, embodying to manifest, right? Like you have to literally embody what it is that you are asking for, right? Like my upcoming trip.
Absolutely.
I was getting on YouTube, looking at food, looking at language, looking at places, even if I wasn't trying to find somewhere to live because I don't have to for where I'm going, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's
Mm-hmm.
just like put me in there, put me in that
Yeah.
space. Let me just start feeling that energy, right? Let me just
Yeah.
start feeling what this looks like. I'm getting excited about like the market, the food, how green everything is, right?
Yeah.
How cheap everything is. I'm like, oh, I'm finna take $20 to the market and go buy all of this stuff, right? Like you have to
Mm-hmm.
really embody what it is that you're asking for, or else, like you said, it's very counterproductive, right? That's like saying
Yeah.
I want a business, but you don't want to work hard.
Yeah. I want more money, but you don't know how you're not saving, or you don't have a budget, or you spend frivolously and not, being cautious or intentional with your coins.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I had to learn that.
It hurts. I I had to learn it my first time, like actually like getting like my own apartment and on being on my own. I kept saying like, I'm ready to move. Like I know I'm manifesting me like a place of my own. And literally with holding that energy in my body, I started to prepare as if I was already there. So
Mm-hmm.
I started throwing stuff out. Why? Because I know I'm moving. Don't know when. I didn't have no apartment in mind. I didn't know when it was gonna happen. I just know it's going to happen, and when it comes, I need to be prepared. And I
Yeah.
don't want to take all this old stuff into my new space.
Yeah.
Literally living it, feeling it in your body.
Yeah.
Holding that excitement in your body is what will bring your manifestation towards you a lot sooner, especially if you are putting in the work to prepare for it. You got to meet spirit halfway.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Spirit ain't no genie. People think you about to
Yeah,
just
gotta meet spirit halfway. You're gonna ask him for something. It's like, okay, but are you doing your part?
yeah, yeah, that's that obedience, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because you'll get those promptings, like you said, of what you need to do, and then it's like if you don't do it, do you really want what you say you're asking for, right? Do you like
Exactly.
I think it comes back to now, well, why do you want it, right? That
Mm-hmm.
investigation of why do I want it? Do I want this specific like dream car because I'm gonna look good in it and I get to stunt and do all this other stuff? Or is it because it's something you've wanted since childhood and you want to prove to yourself that you can put in the work and do what you need to do to like receive it, right?
Absolutely.
Really coming back to intention when we think about spiritual maintenance, right? So everything that we've talked about, I think there's like that one thing, right? That is like the foundation, that spiritual maintenance. What does spiritual maintenance look like? And then how does that evolve and like mix into manifestation and really like calling yourself into your gifting, like really saying yes to meeting your gifting and really moving into what it is that you're meant to do.
Okay, so spiritual maintenance. I love talking about this. So I'm a person. I'm a very visual person. So I'm a writer. I write a lot of things down on like pen and paper, and I have to actually see it. And there are a lot of different tools that can help with spiritual maintenance. So I actually made like a box, and I drew some squares. Physical, emotional, spiritual, mental. And I actually started to list some things in the box that I
Mm.
would need to feel to be balanced,
Mm-hmm.
where I wouldn't be too far in the past or worrying about what happened that I can't change or things outside of my control. And I
Mm-hmm.
wouldn't be too far in the future either worrying about things or being anxious about things that necessarily haven't happened as yet or may not even happen at all.
Yeah.
So for me, I required a lot of grounding work to stay in the present and to stay within my body. So I started writing things down, like in regards to my physical health, with making sure I get some type of physical activity in my day, whether it is just like going for a walk, whether it's moving, or even cleaning throughout the house. You know, as you're burning calories and you're physically moving things. My body has to physically get moving. I realized that I need fresh air.
Mm.
Natural sunlight is a part of my spiritual maintenance. It's
Mm-hmm.
something about natural sunlight or just stepping outside and
Mm-hmm.
breathing and breath work.
Yeah.
I started to take different aspects from my physical health, my spiritual health, my mental health, my emotional health, and putting them all together to form a routine. And when it comes to spiritual maintenance, I think having a routine is imperative
Yeah.
with how you care for yourself on every different level. Because if your physical aspect is off, it throws off your mental health. If your mental health is off, then of course your emotional health is going to fail within that. Your spiritual health, and not feeling like you know that there is a higher calling or a purpose for you. When you are struggling or in a discord with those feelings, then your physical health can start to lack. Everything is linked to each other. So your
Yeah.
spiritual maintenance is in regards to taking care of yourself in totality for your overall well-being.
Mm-hmm. Mm.
So when it comes to like my emotional health, I am a journaler. I have journal notebooks everywhere. I'm also a dreamer. So making sure I do what's called like a morning brain dump, I've started to do, and a nightly brain dump. That way, when I wake up in the morning, whatever dreams that I have, whatever thoughts just maybe floating in my mind, before I tend to anybody else, it starts with me.
Mm-hmm.
Make sure everybody that I love knows this. So they know, don't contact her before a certain time because I'm not going to answer the phone.
Facts.
I have to take care of me first and fill my own cup before I can send others.
Yeah.
Your spiritual maintenance protects you.
Mm.
Cutting off access to some people, part of spiritual maintenance as well. Everybody doesn't get access to my spirit. You know, you have those who you know how some people focus on their problems but don't seek solutions, or
Listen.
they want to stay stuck in their rut. I realize for my own health and for my spiritual maintenance, I can't stay in contact with those type of people because you don't seek to evolve.
Yeah. You want to stay in like a victim. There's such thing as a victim spirit. There's leaders
Mm-hmm.
that I know that every time they open their mouth, I can feel it. That victim spirit. It's
Mm-hmm.
like you
Yeah.
ain't did no work and you up here telling people to do stuff.
Yeah,
Wow.
it's easier to tell people than to take accountability for yourself and to actually do the work for yourself, because it's not always it don't always feel good. A lot of spiritualists, some practitioners, and it's like, this is no shade at all, but it's not
Mm-mm.
always love and light.
Mm-mm.
Sometimes it looks like hell,
Mm-hmm. Complete.
and you have to go through that. So I speak to like a lot of light workers, and I encourage and I tell them, you know, we're light workers because we do the work, because we take care of ourselves. When we need to step back, we actually take that time for ourselves, and that is how we maintain our well-being.
Yeah.
Your spiritual maintenance is about taking care of yourself, taking care of you,
Yeah. Yeah.
and prioritizing your health, your mental health, your emotional health, and then putting those things into play in your daily waking life. That's how you build your spiritual practice,
Mm-hmm.
through your routines, or even like your healing tools. I don't and tool Your spiritual tools look different. It looks different from person to person.
Mm-hmm.
Meditation may not work for some people. Some people think that meditation is just like sitting down trying to clear your mind. Personally, meditation for me is about it's about settling, not exactly clearing your mind or trying to quiet it, but being more aware of where your thoughts go.
Yeah.
I meditate when I'm doing the dishes.
Hello,
My
somebody.
hands have to move.
Mm-hmm.
My hands have to be, for me, my meditation comes when my hands are active. So there's sometimes where people see me, I'll have a regular deck of cards and all I'm doing is shuffling. I'm not asking anything, and I'm not asking for spirit to tell me anything. Some cards may fall out during a meditation, but the form of doing something repetitive for me is a part of my meditation.
Yeah.
Music,
Mm-hmm.
another tool that may help some people, whether it's gospel music or soothing R&B, or um what I've been listening to lately is just like instrumentals.
Same. Yeah. Yeah.
Because music also will start some feelings in you depending on the frequency that you're listening to, certain music frequencies.
Mhm.
um some people pull cards, some people carry, healing crystals for different reasons. It's all a multitude of crystals that can tap into different energetic sources, from protection to love to abundance and manifesting and financial wealth. And um yeah, I tap into my tools.
Yeah. Yeah.
And however I can, tools, and I'm therapy.
Mm. All start there.
Ther- Therapy. There are a multitude of spiritual tools that you can use for your to maintain your spiritual maintenance. So I encourage anybody, even people who like, I don't have like a spiritual practice. Everybody's practice or their routines or whatever they do to for their overall well-being, that's going to look different from person to person. Even the people that I work with, I tell them, you don't have to do the things that I do. You do
Mhm.
what's best for you. And if I can help guide you into some tools or even introduce you to them, then you pick and choose. You see what works. And if it doesn't work, that's okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
You want to be at a state of balance. It's called homeostasis. You want
Mhm.
to be at a state of balance within yourself, within your body, within your mind, within your spirit, within your heart.
Yeah. Sleep is also a spiritual practice.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go
Yes.
lay down.
Resting.
I will lay down, right? And we could touch on that a bit, right? Like when we think about, so I like, there's a space where I've like with like quitting my job and everything else. And it's like, okay, do I care about having a car right now after having like all my dad and my mom, like I understand the love. They want to make sure I get to where I got to go. But even me was just like, oh, well, I'm free. I don't have a car no more.
Hmm.
Right. I might have to, pay for Lyft and Uber to get somewhere. But it's like,
Hmm.
this gives me free reins to really even now listen to my soul and really go for what
Yeah.
it is that I want to do. Right. Because now I'm not attached to anything anymore. I believe
Hmm.
like systems that are created, right, want you to keep going and going and going and buy into whatever that dream life. I ain't even gonna say American dream. Well, yeah, American dream, right? Whatever that looks like, because they want to be able to keep funneling money and keep moving like things around the way they want to, right? I always think about control, right? Whereas now you're not sleeping, you're not
Hmm.
eating right? It's like, I mean, coffee is probably the only thing that I'm addicted to, which I'm working on that. Right? But it's like now you're creating like these unhealthy patterns. And even if you're moving into um a pattern and a ritual in a space where it's like consistent, at some point now you're just a hamster on the wheel, right? And so I'm like, I'm glad to even get into a space where it's like, well, rest is also spiritual, right? Because if you're not resting, your body can't download anything.
You can lose your mind without sleep. You literally, like, you will start to hallucinate without having like the proper rest or nutrition. um and I can definitely agree with that. I think since I've been working for myself and being an entrepreneur, I value my sleep and my nap times. Like, I don't I will cuss somebody out if I if I cannot get to my nap, because that's how my body needs to restore itself.
Yeah.
Even physically, even after, like, people who go to the gym, they encourage people to have what? A rest day,
Yes.
to give your body time, to give your mind time. You have to give your body, your mind, and your spirit time to integrate.
Yeah.
The rest is important.
Yeah.
Nutrition and health,
Mm. Because everything is
also important. What you
energy.
put into your body,
Yeah. It's
what you put
all
into your
energy.
body, what you listen to,
Hmm.
what you are around, who you surround yourself with.
Mm.
It's all part of the game. It's all a part of the game. It's all linked to each other.
Yeah. Yeah. as like moving into this entrepreneurial space, I kept feeling like, okay, I need to get up at 5 in the morning. I just got to a space where it's like, girl, you don't have to get up that early, right? It's like just because they say like entrepreneurs should be getting up at this time and like you don't have to, right?
Mm-hmm.
I set my alarm to 7:30 so quick. I was like, yeah, no. Mm-mm. Mm-mm. I always pick a day where I can sleep in a little later, right? The night before
Mm-hmm.
might be my night to sleep a little later, like stay up a little later, depending on what I want to do or whatever. Like I don't I've taken, I don't want to say boundary. That's not the word I want to use, but like there's like still a societal like confinement even around entrepreneurship. It's like, oh, to be able to have a successful business, this is what you have to do. And it's like, skirt, none of that feels good to me. I'm not doing none of that.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
That's very important what you just said. None of this feels good to me.
Mm-hmm.
With
Mm-hmm.
doing feels good to you. I thought the same thing. I come across some coaches like, oh, it's getting up at 5 a.m. and I realized my body just don't operate like that. I'm not a morning person. And I realize when I get up on my own and I'm able to have my morning shower and I usually do my like a shower meditation or listen to some soothing music, make myself a cup of tea and just I may pull a card, I may journal. Once I'm able to do my own processing in the morning, my day functions so smooth after that.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how I know when my days are off. What did you do this morning? How did you start your day?
Yeah.
So different strokes, do what works and what's comfortable for your body and for what you're doing. So many people out here who are conditioned to just following. I feel like I encourage a lot of people to do them. Do what works best for you, and what works best for you what works best for some other people won't always be your way. It's okay to choose your own path.
Yeah, because then that true alignment comes. Mm-hmm. So I started doing this thing where the magical people that come on my show, I ask them 3 questions. I feel like you already doing this. But if you had to lead your life from your soul, where would you be? What would you do? And how would you feel?
I feel like I'm living my life from my soul at this point. Literally, like at this who I am now. I'm living inside of a manifestation. Let's say that.
Mm.
I'm inside of one of my manifestations right now because I wake up every day and I control my own time. That's freedom to me. You know,
Mm.
I've built such a and allowed how do I say this? I've I've built such community around me and the people that I have connected with, like you and others. I stay close to people who feel like sunlight. I
Mm.
ask for more supportive people to come into my life. They're here.
Mm.
Even after being in a very traumatic relationship, I still became vulnerable enough to allow myself not only to love, but to be loved from somebody else, living inside of a manifestation right now. And it's beautiful. It's a beautiful feeling to wake up and just you
Mm.
just exhale. It is a beautiful feeling. Living further into my soul, I would definitely be living somewhere near the water. Not too close because flooding happens, but close enough where if I need to get to a beach, if I need to go sit with Yamaya, I can go do what I need to do. I can go restore my spirit being close to the ocean.
Mm.
Um, I've already seen myself wearing purple. For a fact that there are going to be others who are going to need light, who are going to need guidance, and who may look to me. And I'm grateful for those souls who seek and who say, let me tap in with keys.
Yeah.
And I hold that so dear to my heart because it's like, God, my ancestors and my spirit team, they entrust me with the gift to be able to help guide others. So that it forces me to do my self reflections on myself just with how I live my life, my morals, my character, working in integrity. It is amazing for somebody to say to me, like, you really helped me overcome this, or I was able to do something that I was once so afraid to do because you encouraged me, or you motivated me, or you made me know that I'm not alone, or when I was in that darkness, you came and you was a lighthouse for me and reminded me that even though I'm feeling this right now, I don't have to stay here.
That's powerful.
It is such a it's such a blessing to me. I'm not even getting emotional, but it's such a blessing to me. So where I see myself going and what that feels like, it's expansion. I've asked God to enlarge my territory. It is beautiful to see myself soon hosting retreats, doing more podcast episodes, using my voice to be motivating, encouragement, just to help people be aware of what's going on with them, and to let them know that any major life transition that you may be experiencing right now, one, you're not alone. Encouraging people to show your scars, wear them, share your story, because your story might be a blessing to other people. I see myself in way larger spaces, talking to bigger audiences, and looking good doing it because I'm fine. So
she cute, y'all.
It's great over here. Life's good.
Yeah, she got it.
Life's
good. She got it. Go check her out on Instagram. She got it, y'all.
Life's good.
Oh, when you
Life's
ready to?
Good. It doesn't mean that everything is perfect.
Yeah.
Everything's not gonna be perfect, but there's happiness in there's happiness in each day. And as long as I continue to find the happy moments, and I can gratitude for the things that are going right versus focusing on what may not be happening, that is it's an undescribable feeling, because I can't describe it truly.
That's joy. That unspeakable joy, unspeakable peace. Yeah.
Unspeakable joy.
Yeah, I love
this is the peace that you
got. I love it.
And I had to seek it.
Yeah.
I had to seek it. I encourage anybody even listening to this to seek your joy, seek it out. Seek your peace. Know that it's gonna come from trials and tribulations, but you are well equipped, and God will supply you with the resources and the support and the love and whatever else you may need to push through.
Whew. Intuitive keys, y'all. Listen, sis, when you ready to do them retreats, I got you. I'm with you.
Oh, we got some things in the works.
We do. We definitely
even this is alignment. Even this is alignment. When we spoke the other day, my throat has been a lot better. And I've been realizing, like, yeah, you need to speak. The more that you speak, the more the message comes out. They need to hear the messages. So I'm grateful for people just reaching out to me and saying, hey, because that's it's like saying, I see you.
Yeah.
I see you, I recognize you, and how I can be of service and of support to others. I'm here to build a tribe, to lead a nation. And if I have to be the example, or to be the person who does things by trial and error, just so other people go, well, this worked for me, this didn't work for me, you may want to try it, you may not. If I share my story, if I can be a blessing to others, I'm going to continue walking this path.
Absolutely.
And I got I have some strong women beside me. I have a lot of support, a lot of love, and unspeakable joy.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for coming on my show. And just, I'm grateful. I'm grateful to be in your orbit. I'm grateful that we connected. Like, timing is everything. So thank you so much for dropping them jewels. Girl, you started from the gate. Yes, Intuitive Keys. Thank you so much. And we will be right back.
Soundstripe.
And we're back. Whew. That was a really fun episode. Like, I really enjoyed talking with Keys. We met in a coaching program together. So it was, like when we met, we were like, you know some things, and I know some things, and I want to know the things that you know. Man, spiritual maintenance is such an important part of healing, because when you do the work to heal everything else, right, you're actually being asked to go deeper inward, which is the depths of your soul. Y'all know I've talked about Dark Night of the Soul probably everywhere, right? I'm still like taking my time reading it because it can be intense, but it explains a lot about like healing and going into the depths of your soul and really allowing those spaces to be cleansed, right? That way you come out with the jewels, and the jewels are alchemizing that pain and transmuting it into what it is that you are meant to do, right? But there's like, we're always coming back home to our divine selves. We're always coming back into who God has originally created us to be. And you can't find that if you don't say yes to the darkness, right? And I think people who are afraid to be alone are very dangerous people, yet people who are able to be alone are also dangerous people. Like, if you catch what I'm saying, you'll catch what I'm saying, right? Because those people that are able to be alone, like I'm pretty sure I said it before, I enjoy being alone. Does it get lonely sometimes? It has its moments, but I've done a lot of healing work on myself to where I've gotten to a place where it's like, listen, I don't need to be around anybody to enjoy my own company, right? And it's not even about enjoying my own company. It's literally, I need to be alone because this is how I rejuvenate. This is how I'm able to really tap inward, right? And listen and hear and lead from my soul, right? And really investigate, right? Like we talked about in the meditation, investigate what needs to be discussed, right? I've been saying a lot in my yoga classes that I teach that, like, when we come to our yoga mat, when we come to our yoga mat, it's a space for us to have conversation with our body. Like, our body wants to talk to us, right? And there's moments where I'm just like, nah, I don't feel like listening to you, and I don't feel like talking to you either. So I'm gonna avoid my mat today, right? I'm gonna avoid it for maybe a couple days, right? It's so much deeper than what the I and a lot of other entities like to make yoga to be, right? It's not always cute, it's not always fun, it's a conversation to release. So I hope y'all enjoyed this episode. I feel like it was right on time, the conversation that we had, because we're moving into a lot of newness. I can feel it, the energy. I can feel it in the air. A lot of energy is like shifting. A lot of rebirth is happening. And there's a call for a collective of people to move up, like to start shifting and start awakening a little differently than they have been, right? So yeah, don't be afraid of the dark. Like, it's gonna get lonely, but allow the dark to strip you of the skin that no longer belongs to you. I've had a lot of people like ask me about purpose and really finding that, and it's like, well, if you want to say yes to purpose and you really want to find it, then be ready for what you're asking for, right? Like, be ready for what you're asking for, because a lot of what we see is just overnight successes. And I think that's one of the things that I'm meant to really do, is show, like, I that's why I share so much. It's like, it's not no overnight success type thing. Like, it's a journey. It's a journey, and most of it is healing work. So no, we can't sweep it under the rug, right? We can't say, oh, well, it happened in the past, I gotta let it go. Bro, alright, like, but it's also affecting your relationships. Okay, we won't go there. Like, you either keep letting things happen to you, or you learn from them and you rise above them, right? Because some of the stuff that we're saying, like, oh, it happened in the past, you're actually still bitter about it. Like, heart work is hard work. Heart work is hard work. Soul care is it's priority, right? And that's even like feeding your soul. What feels good? What feels good, right? Like, I know a lot of people clean to like certain types of music. Like, that's soul care, right? Go a little deeper, right? After we're cleaning after we're cleaning our physical space, are we cleaning inward also, right? So yeah, like, take care of your spirit, because that's your navigation system. That's your navigation system. Yeah. I love you all for free. I love you all for free. May you all walk in joy, peace, love, abundance, and all the blessings. I'll see you next time.